Hey moms, it's Laura Ollinger. Welcome to the Positively Healthy Mom podcast. Because there's no manual for the hardest job in the world. So today I'm so excited to introduce you all to a friend of mine. Emily, could you say your full entire name so I don't get it wrong?
It's Emily Celine Surdyke-Lopez. I'm recently divorced, and the names are a little confusing, so I'm still holding on to both.
Oh, great. Well, that's a great way to do it. So Emily and I have met each other through the Neuroencoding Institute. So she is a certified neuroencoding specialist, coach, healing guide, consultant, and mother of four, which is something we have in common as moms of four children. She is an expert in experiences that lead to naturally ignite her presence with every experience. And so her expertise is in presence. So Emily, can you start with telling us like how you came to that becoming your specialty?
Absolutely. And thank you, Laura, for having me today. I'm really excited to be here and connect with you. It's been amazing to be on this journey with you. And as it goes into my journey and where I first acknowledged the power of my presence was in a kindergarten classroom. And working in the school, I had an opportunity to come into the classroom and support a young man that was having some struggles. And before I even began my own self-development journey, I recognized that I was putting myself in a state of presence to show up, to become this person in the room, a teammate, and be in just complete observation of what I was walking into and what this child was experiencing, and then also the rest of the classroom and the teacher. And having my presence there just in that same day, the mother had acknowledged a shift in the little boy's personality. He was happy, he was smiling more, and he was starting to communicate more clearly with his mother. So shifts just began to happen. And, he started off with a very a speech delay, and within 6 months he was communicating with his mom. He said I love you to his mom for the very first time. So learning all of that in the classroom, and then taking that as the world had shut down, into bringing it into my own home, and taking some risks on myself and growing my own skills so that I could be this next level of a vessel of presence for children, for my own family, and for the world ultimately. And it's been quite a journey. It's been really beautiful. And, I can share as well. Just this week, I was able to take all of that I've learned, and I went into a daycare. And for 3 days, I was inside the daycare as an observer. I wasn't the teacher. I was the observer in the space, performing my own duties that I had while I was there. But what was so incredible about putting my presence in there and practicing these neuroencoding tools on myself to show up each day, I witnessed walking into some complaining, a little bit of chaos, some upset children. And then by the third day, it was just like a complete day of just peace and just smiles like everywhere. It was really quite incredible.
That's so cool. So for the moms listening, we all know the dictionary definition of presence. And the thing is, I too have been building my skills at being present. I've been doing this for a while now, and I know how I can kind of get myself present, but can you explain to the moms first, like, what does presence even mean to you? And then how do you get there?
Absolutely. And presence is being in the experience, and having your eyes open, your ears open, to what is happening with your children, even with yourself in that day. So developing a practice of getting up in the morning, joyful for the day, journaling, connecting with nature, meditation, cold showers. Like it's all a practice of getting myself that I've used on to be in a state of complete presence as
Mhm.
and all of that came into fruition for me this past week, especially going into a new classroom.
Mm.
So for a mom, to me, it is also it's important for me to get up before my kids awake and begin my practice before they awake, and then also inviting them into my practice. Often, especially when my kids are home from school, even as I've this last week, especially too, as I'm beginning my practice even earlier in the day, and my daughter, my 7-year-old, comes in and she sits with me and she joins me. Sometimes she has a journal that she draws in, and we talk about things that we're grateful for. So there's so many things within a practice of presence, and my definition again of presence is just to be in that experience
Mhm.
fully,
Mhm.
and without distraction, without judgment, and be open to receiving from your child in that moment.
Mm.
Connecting with their needs as well. So
Mhm.
always important to connect with my own needs.
Mhm.
Therefore, then I can show up to meet their needs.
Mhm. Mhm. Well, I know that I catch myself when I feel kind of like, anxious, or kind of like it's almost like described as like my head is spinning, where I'm thinking about this and this and this and this and tomorrow and what time and da da da, right? And so the times of I catch myself being, trying to regain my presence quite a bit. And one of those times is at the dinner table with my kids. I find myself, especially like on a Sunday night, kind of wanting to talk about the week and the schedule. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? But then all of a sudden it's like I'm not present because I'm so like, okay, tomorrow at 6, we're doing this, da, 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 right? And so it's like, how can we just enjoy each other's company and enjoy the present moment without worry or anything future related? Or, does that make sense to you? And so when I do it, somehow I just like connect in more with my body, and I just like kind of breathe a little deeper, but I also just notice what I'm feeling in my body. So I can tell if I'm like, getting that anxious where I'm like breathing a little more shallow, or, heart rate is faster. And so I just try to like slow down and just really like make observations about my kids' faces or their, facial expressions, or, if whether it's dinner or something else, and just really notice those small details. Is that kind of how you get it, or what is your process?
Absolutely. I love what you're doing and all of that as it applies daily. And it sometimes even it can be challenging. And even for me that has a practice. And immediately what comes to mind is a practice that I've also been practicing with my children is when I do feel that level of anxiety of, recognizing it and catching it, and also sharing that I'm feeling that with my kids in that
Mm-hmm.
moment, and
Mm-hmm.
being like, hey guys, I'm just feeling really anxious right now. The week is starting tomorrow. Can we just take a minute to just talk about it? And
Mm-hmm.
and then they become open to receiving it. And then we can go just talk about it right then, and then we let it go. Or
Mm-hmm.
even sometimes it's just even acknowledging that I'm just feeling really anxious right now, kids. Just be patient with me, okay?
Mm-hmm.
and and that will then too also just relieve a level of that anxiousness and allow me to become back into that present moment and just enjoy the experience of dinner.
Mm-hmm.
Even scheduling it for maybe after dinner to talk about it and then just enjoy it. Does that make sense?
Right, right. That's a great idea. So, what do you feel like, going to back to the kindergarten boy who you were assisting with and your kids, what do you feel like presence is a gift, but what is it actually truly giving to the kids or people in your life?
Hmm. And it's giving so much. First of all, like it's immediately the being able to give full presence is meeting, I would say, all of their needs. It provides them with a level of connection and love. They
Mm,
feel significant, they feel seen. There's this level of certainty that mom's here for me. And then also, like, I'm silly and I mix it up, and I play jokes and I have accents, and so just being playful with them as well
mhm,
at that moment,
mhm,
and then growing together. Like,
mhm,
it's become a really huge part of my growth of growing my home team. And I share that with them all the time, and acknowledging their efforts along the way. And even if they mess up too, acknowledging that they tried. And just building this level of open communication and understanding and respect for one another. Because, children are so capable, and they're so open and ready to receive. And,
Mm.
you know, so by me being able to acknowledging that, or you acknowledging that with your own kids, then it becomes this also, as we are open to receive from them, like we are teaching them and they're teaching us.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so much too is, even when my own child is experiencing an emotion of anxiety or anger, I take it as a moment for me to learn from them. And they're showing me something that needs to be connected with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so, I think that's such an important point that you just said. A lot of parents are very uncomfortable with what we might describe as like the negative feelings. And so I love that description that you were just being able to be present, not just in the happy and the joy and the appreciation and the love, but also when your child is feeling something, frustration, anger, jealousy, whatever that might be, but that you're still able to be grounded and there for them. So do you have a secret? I mean, presence is probably the answer to every question I ask you, but what is your secret to, not getting kind of emotionally like triggered or drawn into, those feelings that they are feeling?
Absolutely. It is a great question. And yes, presence is always the answer. However, it's challenging, right? So acknowledging it is always like a really great step, but sometimes it always doesn't happen right away. And sometimes I do get triggered. I mean, we are human, and having that grace in ourselves, and then being able to start practicing recognizing those moments of triggering, and then again just opening that communication of, hey guys, um, I know right now you like, if my 7-year-old comes to me, she's very frustrated because she can't decide what she wants to wear that morning for school, and I acknowledge, I said, all right, and she's not able to communicate with me yet in that moment. And so being present with her in that moment and just offering her a loving space is sometimes what is necessary. Sometimes it doesn't take any words, but just sitting with them, right?
Mhm.
Or holding them, or hugging them, or just telling them that you appreciate them.
Mhm.
And then when they come back and start to connect with your loving space, it's like, okay, I understand that you're feeling frustrated right now. And
Mm.
you understand that you're feeling frustrated. And when she gets in that state of acceptance and to receive, she will say, and sometimes I have to ask her, I am feeling frustrated right now. And as soon as she says it, then it starts to release from her. And then she
Mhm.
comes back to presence. And then she can make her resourceful choice for what she wants to wear that day.
Right. Right. Yeah, there's that expression, you have to name it to tame it. So, name that emotion and it kind of just releases out of your body. And, they say that each emotion is really it's just a 45-second experience. Is that, I think it was 45 or 60 seconds where it's just this temporary chemical release. And then if you can release it out and not have it be on repeat or on a loop, then you're able to move on. So I love that tool or strategy for parents to use with their kids who are in that, it could be really any age range that they can have that emotion, or any adult, and just to kind of, say, yes, this is what I'm feeling, and you were able to name it for her. And she was like, yes, that's right. Thank you for kind of giving me that vocabulary. And now I can move on, and now I can make a choice because I kind of got through the little bump that I was experiencing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And, all of it is a practice, and it takes, again, being able to do the practice for myself, acknowledge it for myself. And, it goes along with the morning rises, the stretches, the journaling, gratitude, and gratitude too, for even those moments of frustration, because they're always teaching us, and having patience along the way. And, sometimes like you said, 45 seconds, that's all we really need to do is to feel the emotion, acknowledge it, and let it go. However, that's not always happening that way, right? And we just have been conditioned to either shove that emotion away for later, or we sit in that emotion, not sure what to do with it, and we get lost in it, right? Yeah. So, Laura, can you give me an example of maybe something with one of your children of an emotion that may have come up that was challenging for you, either yourself or for them to process? And then maybe then I could further offer some further suggestions.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Yeah. So what recently, I've been doing walks in the evening with my youngest daughter. We kind of have this tradition. We do it at this time of year in December because we go out and look at all the Christmas lights in our neighborhood. And that is just really my time to be present with her. And every time we get back from the walk, she's like, oh, I feel so much better, Mom, because she's really just kind of like, it's just sharing a lot of things, frustration for, social situations at school, or maybe how she felt left out by some of the girls, or, some things that were going on with her family. And, she kind of covers all the emotions. And I just find too, even catching myself, I'll start to like space out, or I'll get distracted by something that she said. And then my mind will start to wander, or I'll start thinking about, oh, tomorrow I need to do this. You're right. It's like the very ADD brain. And I'm like squirrel, but I really try to remain present with her. So yeah, I would love some help with that. Like how you could, give guidance on just staying present, because, she's 11-year-old little girl. She likes to talk. And so there's a lot of talking, and we're on probably a 30-ish minute walk, we go about 2 miles at least. So yeah, I would love some help with that.
I love that. And the kids, they have so much to share. It's like when they finally feel safe to share and express, and then it's just like, it just keeps coming out, right? And being able to stay present with them while they're sharing. And again, for going on a walk, I love that so much, because I practice my presence while I'm on walks as well. As sometimes they're with my kids, and often they're on my own. And as I'm thinking of you walking with your daughter, of her even becoming back to present, she wants to share the experience, allow her to express. However, start taking notice of on your walk of asking her to say, did you notice that if it's Christmas lights, did you notice that I had this tree lit up in red today? Right? And start picking out things along your walk to even bring her into the present moment of that next level of presence within that nature that's just around you. And then just coming into that space. And then that too, even for yourself, like bringing your presence to something like that is going to train your mind to come back into the present moment and start recognizing those moments of change, of shift in your life, like more naturally. And it also, like, it grows our trust and our intuition as well at the same time while we're doing that, because it's training our minds to have faith in the process, I guess. Right. And so, and if you're walking and your time, because I can relate with, if I walk with my oldest daughter, especially, and she wants to tell me so many things. And a lot of time on a walk, right, we want to kind of empty out ourselves too, and just be present in that moment. So just having grace for them, and maybe also expressing your own needs while on that walk. Say, hey, let's go on this walk. I want to hear your stories, but today I want to try something a little different. And then that way, like, because her mind is busy wanting to express, your mind will start to wander, because it's hard to stay engaged for that long with children's stories. Sometimes it's, I just get it, right? Like, but there's also a purpose in her telling that story too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. She's sharing it. Well, I thought of a client just now that I would love to bring up with you. So he's a boy who wants to build more confidence in social situations. And he says he finds that, well, one thing he is working on right now is kind of, taking that initiative or that kind of bold step to go up to a group of people or to someone that he might not normally interact with. And he says his concern is that when he gets there, that he can't think of something to say, that his mind goes blank and he doesn't know, like, what should he ask them something? Should he say something? He just doesn't know what to say. And so that's what we're working on right now. And I was thinking, like, presence would be such like a good gift for him to learn to practice for those moments, because you don't always have to think so hard, right? When you're just being present, because like what you're saying is it's just like things become more natural. Like it's not like such a planned, I am going to give him some conversational skills. We have lots of tools that we're working on, but just to allow things to kind of unfold. Like, what would you say to this? He's this almost 17-year-old boy.
Well, the first thing comes to my mind is, even a tool that one of our mentors teaches us all the time is sending that kindness and that love into our future, into that space, or even as we're there, and how powerful just a smile can be, right? And and having that trust that no matter what we say is perfect. So building that trust within, right? And that's really key, and to be able to know that you're safe, that level of safety of knowing that you can share yourself, and whatever the experience is, it's an experience to grow. So right, so just trying, he's growing. And for a 17-year-old, engaging, I tell my kids to tell jokes sometimes, or or to compliment someone, like a simple compliment of, I really like your shoes today. Oh, thank you. And it just like, it brings a little bit of joy, a little bit of smile. And so then it opens up a safe space for the kids to interact. So, there's practices for him ahead of time of, as well as like with the journaling, like you know all this already, Laura, but right. And then that exercise as well, the mirror exercise is so helpful and powerful. Just imagining yourself smiling in that mirror, whether you're doing it physically practicing in the mirror, right? Smiling, acknowledging yourself, appreciating yourself, or doing it through visualization, and that becoming a practice of even, okay, he's in an environment and he wants to engage, and yet he's feeling a little bit unsafe. So just in his mind right there, he can just imagine seeing himself, smiling at himself in the mirror, right? And that's going to raise his level of confidence and joy in that moment. And then just to feel like supported and to trust that we are supported. And if we're meant to engage, we're meant to engage. If not,
yeah.
So I don't know if that helped. I hope it did.
It did. Yeah. I'll definitely give them that idea of the mirror exercise and to visualize that. And, maybe we should explain to the audience, as far as what we mean by the mirror exercise. It's something we learned from one of our mentors, which is to, look at yourself, deeply in your eyes and just say your name and then say, I love you, right? And just to kind of really feel that feeling. And that brings us to the present moment. And it opens us up to loving ourselves. And some people, are starting kind of at the bottom and they really have to work their way up. Others, are kind of have done the work for a while and they're already in a practice of loving themselves and they're just deepening that. How else would you describe it, Emily?
Absolutely. And we can take your audience through this process if you like to.
Let's do it.
Yes, you'd like to. All right. So, okay, I'll lead it then. All right. So I'm going to invite you to close your eyes.
Okay.
All right, and we're going to take a few deep breaths together, in through our nose and out through our mouth. About 5 deep breaths, and in and out, in and out, in and out, in and out. One more. In and out. So I want you to imagine it's right when you awake in the morning. And as you walk past the mirror in your bedroom, you stop and you turn toward your reflection. And as you see yourself there, smile. Really big. I want you to smile, show your teeth, and smile. And say your name. And say, I love you. And say, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And smile real big. And look deep, deep into your eyes as you are seeing yourself in a state of joy, smiling and excited and ready for the day. And you take one more deep breath. And as your eyes are flooded with love and appreciation, your mind and your body and your soul are present. And I'd like to just add a couple affirmations while we're here and connected. Of I am love. I am kindness. And I am safe to be me. And one last smile. And say thank you. Now we're going to celebrate. Raise your hands in the sky. Open your eyes. Yes.
Yes. That felt great. That felt really good.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I added a little bit of my own special spice to that. So
I love it. I love it. Yeah. And I noticed a little resistance from myself, but I kind of just kept bringing myself back, and that's amazing. I mean, think about if everybody did that, every day. I feel like everybody would just be a little bit more, in touch and present and, really loving, because that's what it is. It's sharing love with yourself, and so that you can give love to others, right?
absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
We got to fill our cup in order for it to overflow to everyone around us. And that's where this practice of, comes into so much play of taking care of ourselves, right? And as a mom, we know how important it is to take care of ourselves. And, I'm going to be very vulnerable and honest that I didn't always take care of myself. And, I was putting my kids first. And then I found myself not being unhealthy and not present. And, but we don't have to stay there. And we can start any moment, and just with a simple practice of smiling in the mirror. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. And, I don't even know, When you're kind of on autopilot in your life, you're not even even aware that you're not present. And so it's funny because I'm wondering if there's any moms who are listening that are like, I don't even know what you guys are talking about, because they're like, they haven't really had that experience. And I too felt like, in my past, I was just, going through being a busy, very busy mom of four, kind of just giving to everyone and not really, filling myself up and just kind of feeling myself without anxiety, without worry, without stress, and just kind of being. And I do feel like I have always been able to somehow be present with my kids, but that's almost was the easier part, but being present for myself is the harder part, right? Because there's something about just being still within yourself that seems difficult. Like I like to be busy, but even just being present with my kids, it's still giving my kind of ADHD brain something to do. Like I can focus on them, and kids are active and there's always something changing, right? But to just be still is hard. Yeah. But I have found that like you're saying, it's a practice, and that the more I've done it, and, my favorite way to be present is actually to be present with another human. Like, to me, that's more like it's connecting, it's more exciting, it's more engaging, but also to just learn to connect with myself. So, did you feel those challenges along the way when you were learning these skills?
Absolutely. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And, we're human, so we're going to have these challenges, and it's almost like we have to unlearn what we've known before and begin again and keep trying each day, right? And becoming present with oneself, or even a higher source, is the way to begin your day and your practice. And it's a growth process. And having that patience and that compassion for yourself along the way. And, whenever you get in that robotic mode, when you're on the hamster wheel, I caught myself in it this week. And as I was working inside this daycare, and as I found myself, like, I did really great the first day, staying connected. There were some nice windows and nature was out there. And I was really proud of myself. I stepped outside, I did all this. But then the second day, I noticed that I wasn't even looking out the window, even though it was right there. And I'm like, whoa. And I caught myself, I'm like, okay, I see how easy it is to get trapped in that hamster wheel. And there is at times that we want to be efficient and we want to just get the job done. But having taking a breath, taking a stretch, and catching yourself, looking out the window. If you're able to step outside for a moment and take a couple breaths of fresh air. I highly just encourage any piece of nature into your day that you can bring. And maybe it's a plant in your office that you just take a moment and connect with your plant and breathe. Taking a conscious deep breath, it's filling our bodies with love. And so by doing that simple just act of taking a conscious breath, we're bringing ourselves into presence.
Yes, I'm a huge plant lover. I love my indoor house plants, and I have some poinsettias for the holidays. And so I was just noticing them this morning, how pretty they looked I moved them over to by the window just to get a little sunlight, and those next to my green plants just look so pretty. And I just really took that moment and I observed them and I loved them, and it felt really good to just appreciate that beauty of nature. And I'm a huge nature lover, so I know exactly what you mean by that, to just make sure you're being, noticing the beauty. I'm going to pause my conversation with Emily Surdyke-Lopez. If you'd like to hear more, listen to the next episode. Thank you for listening to the Positively Healthy Mom podcast, because there's no manual for the hardest job in the world. Don't forget to subscribe and share with your friends.